Good morning, everyone. This week's parsha contains what is known as the golden rule: love your neighbor as yourself. However, let's look at what the Torah says leading up to the punchline of love your neighbor as yourself. Torah starts by saying, don't hate your brother in your heart. Rather, reprove him, talk to him about what he did wrong. And then the Torah says, lo tikam v'lo titor. Do not take revenge and do not hold a grudge. Someone hurt you, someone offended you. Don't take revenge and don't hold a grudge. And Rashi says, what does it mean not to take revenge and not to hold a grudge? So Rashi gives examples. You ask somebody to lend you something. Imagine you say to somebody, could you lend me your hammer? And they say, nope. 2 weeks later, the guy comes to you, could you lend me something? Lend me your rake. So revenge is, you didn't lend me the hammer, I'm not lending you the rake. That's revenge. A grudge is, I'm not like you, so I will lend you the rake, unlike you who refused to lend me the hammer. That's holding a grudge. Don't take revenge, don't hold a grudge. And then the Torah concludes, but rather, what should you do? Love your neighbor as yourself. So the question is like this. We started off with two guys who hate each other. The Torah says, wait, don't hate the next guy. And not only shouldn't you hate him, you should talk to him about it. Reprove him. And then, if he hurt you, don't take revenge against him. And don't hold a grudge. Now here we're talking about two guys who obviously don't love each other, right? Because they're angry, he wants to take revenge, he wants to hold a grudge. So it's to say, don't do that. And suddenly the Torah says, and love him like yourself. That's a big leap of love. To go from anger, hatred, and wanting to take a revenge and hold a grudge, to not only not doing that, but to love him as yourself. That level of love, how do we get from not hating him and not holding a grudge or taking revenge to loving him as yourself? It's like Torah should have said, but rather try to work it out, reconcile with him, make peace. No, love him like yourself. How do I get from anger and hatred to loving like yourself? So there was a great rabbi in the beginning of the century, of the 20th century. His name was Rabbi Scheiner. He had a big yeshiva in Poland. And tragically, he was killed together with his students in the Kovno ghetto by the Nazis, Yimach Shemam. But there's a story how in the 1930s, late 30s, he came to America to raise money for his yeshiva from American Jews. And he came with a student, and the student told him about a certain wealthy Jew that we should go see him, maybe he'll support the yeshiva. And they went with high hopes and expectations to this wealthy man's house. He met with them, and he pretty much said he can't help. And he showed them politely to the door and sent them on the way. When they came out, the student sat down on the steps. He was very dejected because he was hoping that this man could do something significant for the yeshiva. So Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman, the Rosh Yeshiva, said, why are you upset? He said, what do you mean, why am I upset? This man could support the whole yeshiva for a year, and he gave us nothing. He sent us out empty-handed. So Elchanan Wasserman said to the student, imagine you were looking for a guy by the name of Yankel, Goldberg. And you go into the shul and you stop a guy. Excuse me, are you Yankel Goldberg? He says, I'm not Yankel Goldberg. He said, will you get upset at the guy for not being Yankel Goldberg? He's not Yankel Goldberg. What do you want from him? You wouldn't get angry at him because if he's not Yankel Goldberg, what do you want from him? You wouldn't be upset at him. So Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman said, Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman said, Hashem sends a message in this world for everything. There's someone who's meant to do this, someone who's meant to do that. You went and asked this guy, do you have a hammer to lend me? Can you lend me your hammer? He said no. What does that mean? That means that he was not the messenger to give you the hammer. Hashem has someone else in mind to give you the hammer. So what are you getting angry at him? He wasn't the messenger. He's not Yankel Goldberg. He can't help you. He's not the one that God designated to lend you the hammer. So just like you wouldn't get upset at him for not being Yankel Goldberg, don't get upset at him for not being able to lend you the hammer. The Rasman said he wasn't the one who was meant to support the yeshiva. Somebody else is meant to support the yeshiva. And here's the punchline of V'ahavta Recha Kamocha. Don't hold a grudge at someone else. You know why? Because love him like you love yourself. If you ask someone to lend you a hammer, are you upset at someone else are you upset at yourself for not having a hammer yourself? No, I don't have a hammer. What should I do? So just like you're not upset at yourself for not having a hammer, don't be angry at the next guy for not giving you a hammer. Because just like you don't have a hammer, he doesn't have a hammer to give you because he wasn't meant to be the one to give you the hammer. So when you face rejection in life, somebody says no to you, It means that he wasn't the messenger. He wasn't the one to accomplish this thing. And you have to just keep on looking until you find the person who was meant to give you or do for you what you need, and therefore don't hold a grudge, don't take revenge, but rather love him like yourself. Give him the same courtesy you give yourself. You're not upset at yourself for not having the hammer. Don't be upset at the next person.